This is Richard back at you. We got Bert's 400 in the house this morning. This guy, he got lucky. He got him a 70 model, all original, 396 big block El Camino, guys. You just don't find them anywhere anymore, let me tell you. But they're going to go through this car, since it's so nice, and just do all the drivetrain, motor, tranny, everything, and freshen this thing up. So I'm really excited that he gave me a chance and brought it to me to do it for him. He's from, not Amarillo, but he's close to Amarillo, so he doesn't have a long drive like 90% of our people have been doing to get to us. But we're going to put all the good stuff in this thing. We're going to put him a stall converter, beef the shifts up, stuff like that. That way he can have a little bit of red light to red light if some youngster pulls up beside him.
Like me?
Yeah, like you, Trent. So, but this is all original. You can look at this dinosaur vacuum modulator here. Old canister style.
Big old can.
Oh, we got a bolt that come out of the...
Man, we got an extra bolt.
Look there. That's been in there a while. I'm going to have to save that and give that back. He might need that to do something with it. But this thing's all original for sure.
Yep.
I don't even know what they were thinking when they made these things. They're so big.
Taking it off, you have a weight reduction.
I'm telling you. Did you hear that thing hit the table?
I'm telling you.
Heavy, heavy. Of course, you got your modulator valve here. A lot of people say, Richard, why don't you steam these off before you tear them down? I say, well, if you knew how bad water doesn't mix with my solvents, and you get water and all this stuff, it just don't mix with solvent, and try to clean it out and stuff, it don't work. I would rather clean the dirt off of it than try to clean water out of it. Now, we do clean the inside of our cases before we put them in the washer. That way we get all the dirt out of the pores of the metal on the inside of the case, because that fine gray metal you see in the pan, this stuff right here, that fine gray metal, that parts washer, even though it's got new soap in it and stuff, that stuff's in the pores. So we take solvent and air and blow in here, and we get it out of the pores of the metal. That way when you go out and first test drive your vehicle, the new tranny fluid is such high detergent, it will draw that gray out of the pores of the metal, and next thing you know, you have erratic shifting and all that type of stuff. So we'll take a solvent bottle like this, get an air blower, clean all that out really good, and get that out of there. That way, when I put it in the parts washer, it don't seal it in the pores. So now we are going to leave the governor in this thing. It's going to have the fully manual capability, but when he puts it in drive, it's still going to shift on its own. But if he puts it in low gear at 100 miles an hour, it's going to low gear. So we'll explain that to him and stuff, because when we build them back, it won't shift out. If you put it in low gear, it's not going to shift out until you move the shifter. So that tells you if you put it in low gear at 100 miles an hour, it's going to go to low gear. And probably send all the rods out the motor and all that type of stuff too. So actually, make a long story short, we had a friend of ours that was racing his Corvette and was shifting from either 4th to 5th or something like that, and went from 5th to 1st and dumped the clutch back out, and it blew the rear end off the back of the tranny in the back of the car, because the rear end's on the back on a Corvette. So that's something we've actually done twice, isn't it, Trent? Yeah. Those close ratio 6-speeds in those Corvettes, it's really easy to go for the wrong gear when you're speed shifting.
Throw a short shifter on with it.
Yeah, then it's even worse. We actually fixed this Corvette once. The rear end was like $10,000, and then we welded all the pieces back together. We welded all the pieces back on the tranny, and then like 2 months later they did it again. So, oops. Now this is all that gray metal I'm talking about that's inside the pores of the metal inside the barrel of this case that we get out with solvent before we put it in the parts washer. We'll actually clean that pan with solvent before we even put it in the parts washer, because the parts washer, we wanted to get the dirt off of it and stuff like that. But we physically get that out of there before we put it in the parts washer. So now this does just have a stock filter. You can already see it's starting to mess the filter up. It's been in there so long. Looks like it's trying to suck it forward.
Mm-hmm.
So now we could put a screen filter in this. I believe he asked me about that. But we might decide not to on this one since he's going to be driving it on the street a bunch and stuff like that. And those screen filters, they really don't filter a lot of stuff. They're just more for high flow capability, so compared to your felt. You got an O-ring down in here for your extension tube for your filter. Now we'll go back with 2 O-rings right here and we put it back together. That way we don't have any leakage or like that, anything like that. Now this here is your passing gear switch here. This is your switch to downshift it to. It tells the computer when to downshift it lower than certain gears. You don't see that very often in these units either.
What's funny is I'm gonna have to say that's 2 for today.
Yeah,
Man.
you don't see stuff like that.
Yeah.
This thing's really early, but it's not as early as the early ones.
Right.
You know, on the 350 transmissions, they always had a switch over here by the dipstick tube on the side of the transmission, and everybody said, "Richard, what is that switch right there?" And I would say, well, that switch right there, when you hit passing gear, it turns the air conditioner off before it hits passing gear. And they go, "You got to be kidding me." I said, "No, sir." I said, "That's what that does." I said, "We can take it off, plug it, and the air conditioner will still work fine, but it will not turn it off when you hit passing gear."
I do remember you saying that.
So 90% of them come in leaking, and most of the time that's what leaks and burns the tranny up because the small leak that occurs on it. So got your governor tubes here. Now this tranny has no modifications to the valve body or anything, no shift kit or anything like that. Just all stock looking, which is the way I like to see them. And then we have our metal gasket here on the passenger switch. Now, I wish I had some stuff here to show you, because they did some changing up here, guys, on the servo piston and stuff on the valve body. And the same way with the gaskets. The gaskets are always verified by these 2 holes right here. Your overhaul kit will come with 3 gaskets, and you pick them out. But these square holes right here are the ones how you identify them. The other gasket that you don't see here in this picture will have a tail on it, and that gasket doesn't belong to this tranny. But when you lay them on there, you'll see the difference in them. But just match your gasket up, and you'll be able to tell. Now, what they did here on this servo piston and stuff like this, see how this is flat? They make one that has 3 legs on it, and then they made the piston flat. So if you put a flat piston with a flat here, it'll come up high enough and blow this ring out. So that is the difference. If you have one that's got 3 legs, it takes a flat piston. If you have a flat one, it has the legs on the piston here. If you get them mixed up, you can either ply the band or you'll never ply the band, and it'll blow the ring. So anytime you change parts, you always want to look for that top stuff. The only problem you get into if you don't know what you're looking at when you change parts is when you get into trouble, or how to identify things. So, in a couple of previous videos that I've done, I've talked about educational videos. All of my videos are educational. I'm here to teach, to train anybody that wants to learn. You cannot get out of school and jump into a tranny shop and learn. It just ain't going to happen. You ain't going to be able to go. If you can afford to go to Wild Tech, I'm happy for you and stuff like that. Go to college, all that type of stuff. But you still ain't going to learn on the job like you learn in my shop. And that's why I'm here doing what I'm doing. Me and Trent spend hours of the day sitting here doing this stuff to show you guys how to do this stuff, what it looks like, how to put them back together. I mean, everything about it. So if you got kids that love cars, get them in here watching these videos, because let me tell you, the transmission is an expensive thing, and that's basically why I got into it, because in my race car days, I couldn't build an automatic transmission. And that was what inspired me a little bit to get in there and learn how and stuff. So now I didn't have to buy a tranny for my race car. I pay people to build my trannies and stuff like that. So it's a lot cheaper on us. But if you can get your kids out there to watch, it's a good thing to learn. You can make good money at it. You can do it at home in your driveway and make money at it. It's very educational.
I mean, you've always told me anything you can take in life to take with you and learn.
Yeah.
Is the way to go.
Now we're taking our center support bolt out here. You notice this one on the 400 is about 1/4 inch shorter. They will not interchange. Don't interchange them. Don't try it. You'll mess up a support. You have to find you another one. So don't interchange them. I've never tried to cut one off and make it fit neither. I just find me one that fits.
Don't do that.
Yeah. So got all of our check balls.
Very blood looking fluid.
Now what's nice is he does have an 8-bolt pump in case here. Now we're not going to put an ultra bell on it or anything like that, but if he wanted to, he could. Now since this tranny's never been apart, you notice this pin right here that holds your shifter in. This actually looks like a little nail. If I take and tip that case over, it'll fall right out once I take that pump out of there. So I just want to try to bend it up just a little bit like that. When the tranny's set normal, it's going to hang down like that anyway. It's not going to touch your shifter linkage. But if you don't see that and that nail falls out, you put it in the car, next you know your shifter don't work no more. So that's a real common problem, to lose the pin in the washer or at the car washer or anything like that if you're doing it at home.
Or in your honey's tub. We seen that the other day.
Yeah, we seen somebody putting parts in his wife's dishwasher. I'm going, what are you doing, guy?
I've been gone.
Oh.
You gotta get her done, I guess.
Yeah, you got to get it done.
That's awesome.
It's not going to come out. There we go. Now this tranny's just going to be totally stock. It's not going to have no high pressure rings. It ain't going to have nothing in it. The bushings still look decent.
Wow.
It's got your factory pressure spring.
I just feel it's cool to be messing with something back 1970s, you know?
Yeah.
To be able to put your hands on something like that.
Yeah.
Never been messed with.
Now we got our pump stator and stuff here. It looks really nice. It's got some shadowing, no grooves. So it's kind of hard to feel the glove, so I have to pull this off and go back and check it. But you can see here the depth of the converter. Now see, that's got to be respaced. That's got to get some depth on there. But he's just barely catching that thing. Hopefully this pump ain't wore out. Now we're starting to lose our bluing on our pump gears. You can see that right there. Our pump body looks really good still.
Nice.
Got lucky there. Bushing doesn't look so good. So the tranny's been around for a long time. Got to give it some respect there. It's really good.
Dinosaur.
Yeah. How many miles this thing's got on it? How many times it went to the grocery store? How many times it went to the movies? How many times it took you to work? You know, it's amazing how many miles you put on a car nowadays and don't even realize you went 100 miles. You know, and it still amazes me today that these things can push a car down the road. You know, after all these years. And the weight they pull, that's what gets me more than anything. So we got our forward clutch. It's pretty much cooked. That could have been done from filter starvation, anything like that, because that filter was totally starved.
Mm-hmm.
So, we see what we got. Now we don't have a high performance hub or anything like that. This tranny won't need that. He's not making no crazy horsepower like our 480Es are going to be making. As long as the splines are good on where your clutch rides and your input shaft goes, or your intermediate shaft goes, you'll be fine. So, looks really good. Bushings run. We'll go and grab our third gear clutch. Now, since this is a big block El Camino and we are going to beef it up and stuff, it doesn't make a little bit more power than it used to. We are going to upgrade this drum to the better sprag assembly. Now, we do have a wave in here for third gear. Now, if I take that wave out, he's going to notice reverse really, really bad. Especially if you go from dry to reverse. I mean, it's going to be really bad. So this wave I will probably put back in just for drivability purposes. They have kids and stuff like that, and I don't think when he puts in the gear, he don't want to end up in the back seat. So, but even with the wave in there, you can make it shift really nice. Now, hopefully, being a 400, let's see if it squeaks. Oh, it don't squeak, Trent.
Uh-oh.
We might have a good sprag assembly. Might have a good drum, but have a cheap GM sprag. Oh, looky there.
Man.
Looky there. Now, how you can identify a GM sprag, you're going to have a brass washer. Every time. Lucky there, guys. We got a good drum. Hopefully this drum ain't chattered up or anything like that. Because, man, that just saves a lot of money for the customer not have to spend. Look at that drum. Really nice. Scotch-Brite's your friend. Man, that's a good looking drum. You just don't see that.
Yeah.
And to find that drum, it's just almost impossible. So, let's get down here. We got our engine braking band. Looks really nice. Now this will go back in there. We're not going to be modifying anything like that. We're not going to be taking the wave out of our second gear or anything like that. We don't want it to, every time you take the wave out of second gear, it's hard on that sprag I'm showing you there. So, and we want this thing to last this guy a long time because he's going to be doing cruises and stuff like that. It's just not going to be a strip car. So, now we do have a 3-clutch intermediate. Now we always go back with a 4-clutch on anything we do now unless it's a Volkswagen or something with no power. That was weird.
Did
you
either got a bird in the building or just was running across the top of the building?
Something.
That was weird.
Now I am working on my table.
I don't know, just keep going.
I'm just going to keep going because it's kind of like a weird noise went by me and Trent. I hope it might be in the camera here. We'll have to listen to that video.
Yes.
I might have woke somebody up today.
We need to hurry up and go home.
Get this snap ring out of here.
Man, I'm not gonna lie, that was like that was behind me.
I mean, it's almost like right here, like something went by us. Kind of weird. But everybody knows what type of table I got here, so we could have had a visitor for a second.
And they're used.
Okay, here's our sprag where our race runs right here. Looks really nice. Now we will be leaving our second ring off on this unit here to give it a little bit firmer apply on third gear. It will not affect reverse, but it will have the third gear apply because it is a 2-circuit deal. You have your third gear clutch is a reverse clutch too, so you have 2 circuits coming in there and doing 2 different things at different times. So, 8-bolt case looks really nice.
Wow.
So these cases are getting rare and rare. I mean, if I could find 100, I might take every one of them. Reverse band's starting to get a little thin on the tips. Got a lot of age.
I'm still shocked for 1973.
70.
Oh, is it
That's
70?
a 70.
Wow.
Yes, sir, it's a 70.
Yes.
Same way here, you want to look down here and see if it's been rubbing on this washer, and if these pins have been cutting on here, because this sets like this, and if these pins come up, it'll start shaving. You can look at the depth. If it's, you can flip it over, TIG weld them pins down there. Drag it in, here's a roller clutch. You can call that two different things. Different builder preferences, I guess, or whatever. Look at your sun gear. Same way here. If you notice, this one only locks on one direction. It only goes like that. Well, a lot of the other ones, they have a groove in here to where you can put this in any direction you want to, and it's still going to have oil come out that hole.
Yes, gotcha.
See, where this physically points oil out that hole.
Ah,
See?
making sure.
Yes. So
Keyway.
they just make sure. Yes, sir. Now the same way here, we'll be getting rid of our thrust washer in the back and putting a roller bearing in there. Got a big old wide bushing in there. Now that is an aftermarket bushing for this unit, I believe. Because them come in the kits too, so I'd almost have to, maybe it might not be. I could have just accidentally thrown that in there.
Don't ruin my dreams. Just kidding.
It looks really nice right there. Same way here. Hollow shaft, oils to the center. Same way here, you want to look at all your pins, check for any wobbling.
Looks really nice.
Really nice tranny.
Really?
So,
Wow.
not too bad, huh? Gonna be really nice to get cleaned up and put back together. These are the ones I enjoy doing that really once not been touched or messed up with. I don't have to think as hard. Cuts down the build time, you know, about an hour or two easy, you know, when I don't have to straighten up a lot of people's stuff, because sometimes people get in there and modify things that I can't straighten up and have to change a lot of parts and stuff. So it's gonna be fun. If y'all do anything, give us our Precision Transmissions. Don't forget to subscribe. We've got to get the subscribers up really high, guys, so we get noticed a little bit more. Get your kids watching these videos and stuff like that. That way they can get a little education on how these vehicles go down the road if they enjoy cars and stuff like that. So y'all stay tuned. More to come. Y'all have a great day.